These 8 advanced English words will lift your fluency and your IELTS, TOEFL, or Cambridge score, and you won't just memorize them. You'll meet each one inside the story, feel what it means, then prove you caught it. That's how your brain keeps them for good. When the craft came down out of the clouds and stopped, silent, 100 feet above the wheat field, the whole world held its breath and reached for its weapons. Every army on Earth expected an attack. Not one of them guessed that the visitors had crossed the stars to say thank you. It did not land, it simply hovered, vast and luminous, a smooth, pale shape that threw no shadow and made no sound. For 3 days, it hovered there above the Kansas wheat, glowing with a soft, luminous light that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. The world watched and trembled and waited. Everyone assumed it was malevolent. The newspapers screamed of invasion. Generals ringed the field with tanks and anticipated the worst. A weapon, a death ray, the opening shot of a war between worlds. They anticipated an attack with every passing hour, fingers tight on their triggers, certain the thing above the wheat had come only to destroy them. They brought in Dr. Sarah Okafor because she spoke 9 languages and had spent her life studying how strangers reach across the gap between them. She was not a soldier. She stood at the edge of the field, looked up at the silent, luminous shape, and felt no fear at all, only a deep and dizzying wonder. For days, the scientists tried everything. They beamed up radio waves, prime numbers, diagrams of atoms. Nothing answered. No one could fathom what the visitor was, or what it wanted, or even whether it knew that they were there. It hung above them, beautiful and unknowable, and the harder they strained, the less they could fathom it. The generals lost patience. If they could not understand it, they said, they would destroy it before it could destroy them. They gave Sarah one more night. At dawn, they would open fire on the thing in the sky, on the first visitor humankind had ever met, because they were too frightened to wait any longer. Sarah did not sleep. She sat alone in the dark beneath the craft and thought, not about weapons or codes, but about the question no one else had asked, not what it wanted, but why it had come here, to this one small blue world, out of all the cold and endless sky. And slowly, an old memory rose to the surface, something she had read as a child. Decades before, humanity had flung a tiny probe out past the planets, and on it, a golden record. The sound of waves, of falling rain, of a mother singing, of a child's laugh. A message in a bottle thrown into the cosmic sea and long forgotten. Sarah walked to the center of the field. She carried no weapon and no screen. She simply lifted her phone and played, into the night air, that same old recording of a child laughing. And the luminous craft, for the first time in 3 days, beckoned. A slow, warm pulse of light that reached toward her, gentle as an open hand. It beckoned her closer. What happened next, the watching soldiers would struggle all their lives to describe. The light folded down around Sarah like a sunrise, and into her mind, without a single word, came a feeling so profound that she fell to her knees in the wheat. It was not a threat. It was gratitude. The whole field was bathed in a silent, profound wonder, and every hardened soldier lowered his weapon and stood in pure awe. The visitors had heard the probe. Across an ocean of years and light, they had caught that one small bottle thrown from Earth. Not its science, not its numbers, but the laugh of a human child. And it had told them the single thing they had crossed the galaxy to confirm, that they were not alone. They had come in awe of that fragile, laughing world simply to answer, to say, "We heard you. You are not alone, and neither, any longer, are we." There was no war. The thing the world had been so certain was malevolent had never carried a single weapon. It had carried only an answer to a message we had forgotten we ever sent, and the one language that had ever reached it was not a code, nor a threat, but kindness, and wonder, and a child's laugh in the dark. When at last the craft rose back into the clouds, it left no scar upon the field, only a ring of wheat bent gently outward, as though the land itself had exhaled. Sarah stood a long time in the center of it, looking up. Humanity had spent its whole history anticipating that the stars would come to conquer it. Instead, they had come in awe, beckoned across the void by the sound of a child's joy. And they had crossed all that emptiness, in the end, only to say thank you. Now, did you catch all 8? Let's find out. a verb meaning to stay floating in one spot in the air. It's what a hummingbird does, wings a blur, holding still in midair. The strange craft did this above the wheat field for 3 days. The pale ship would do what? Ye float in one spot, silently, throwing no shadow?
The word is ḥʌvər.
A helicopter began to hover just above the crowded rooftop. A noun for a feeling of overwhelming wonder and respect. It's what you feel gazing up at a towering mountain or the night sky. The soldiers lowered their guns and stood in this, utterly amazed. Every hardened soldier stood in pure what as the light unfolded. The word is awe. The children stared up at the great waterfall in silent awe. An adjective meaning wishing evil or harm toward others. Think of a villain whose every thought is bent on doing you harm. The whole world wrongly assumed the silent visitor was this. Everyone was certain the craft was what? Set on evil and meant them terrible harm.
The word is malevolent.
His malevolent stare made the whole crowded room fall silent. A verb meaning to expect something and prepare for it in advance. It's what you do when you pack an umbrella. Sure, the rain is coming. The generals did this to an attack that was never going to come. They began to do what? Expect and prepare for. A war. Fingers tight on their triggers.
The word is anticipate.
We anticipate heavy traffic, so we plan to leave very early. A verb meaning to signal or wave to someone to come closer. It's the curl of a finger that says, without any words, come here. The craft's warm light did this to Sarah, reaching gently toward her. A slow pulse of light began to do what? Wave her in, toward the center of the field?
The word is beckon.
She saw him beckon to her from the far end of the hall. An adjective meaning very deep, intense, and far beyond the surface. Think of a truth so vast that it changes how you see your whole life. Into Sarah's mind came a feeling of this kind, so deep she knelt. A silent, what kind of wonder filled the entire field all at once.
The word is profound.
Her grandmother's death had a profound effect on the whole family. A verb meaning to understand something deep, strange, or difficult. It's the struggle to make sense of a puzzle that defies all your logic. For days, not one scientist could do this to the silent visitor. No one could do what? Make sense of what the craft was or what it had come to do.
The word is fathom.
I simply cannot fathom why she would lie about something so small. An adjective meaning glowing and giving off a soft light. Think of the dial of a watch that glows softly in a darkened room. The hovering craft was this, shining with no clear source at all. A pale, what kind of light spilled from the ship across the night field?
The word is luminous.
The luminous hands of the clock glowed faintly in the dark. Quick recap. How many do you still remember?
ḥʌvər.
Awe.
Malevolent. Anticipate. Beckon. Profound. Fathom. Luminous.
A new English story every day. Subscribe and learn advanced words the way your brain actually keeps them. Inside a story you won't forget.